First and foremost, happy holidays. I'm feeling very festive today. I got my Christmas leggings on. This is the only week of the whole year that I can wear them, so I've worn them 3 days in a row now, going strong. Today's workout is a full body workout that's broken up into 3 mini circuits. For each circuit, I'm going to give you 3 exercises. We'll do each for 30 seconds. We'll cycle through them 3 times. You get to rest for 15 seconds after you've done all 3. So it'll go exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, rest. Repeat that 3 times. All you'll need for today's workout is a set of dumbbells. I'm using a set of 10-pound dumbbells. You might want 2 sets, a heavier and a lighter. There were a couple exercises during this workout that I wish that I had something a little heavier than 10 pounds, so keep that in mind. As with all workouts, always listen to your body and modify or stop as needed. You also want to make sure that you're properly warmed up beforehand. I have a 5-minute warm-up on my channel. You could also do your own. If this is your first time doing one of my workouts, just a heads up, I don't play music in the background during them because I want you to be able to listen to whatever music you like. So if you don't have a playlist queued up, pause this video, go do that. Once you have, let's get to work. Using 2 sets of weights, I want you to grab your heavier one for this one. We're going to start in a plank, and you're going to row the weight up with your right arm, and then you're going to take your left knee and crunch it across towards that right elbow. So it's a crossbody mountain climber and a row. Every time we do this exercise, we're going to switch which side we're on, so we'll just alternate right. Next time you see it, left, right, left. As you do this, you want to make sure that your hips are staying right about level with your shoulders. You have just a few more seconds to go. Try to get 1 or 2 more reps in. Okay, ditch the weight. We're going right into rolling crunches. So we're going to do a V up on the side, so legs straight, and then you're going to roll through center, knees bent, and then you're going to roll to the side, legs straight. So you're just going side crunch, side crunch. When you roll, notice how my legs are hovering the whole time. So I'm not resting my extremities on the ground here. That's going to keep the core active the entire time. If you need to modify, bend your knees on those side crunches and it'll make it a little easier. Now onto a windmill. We're going to add in a shoulder press with this. So again, grab it in your right hand. We're focusing on the right side this time. You want your right toes pointing straight ahead and your left toes pointing out at an angle. From there, you're going to lower down, bringing that bottom arm towards your toes. When you get to the top, you give me a shoulder press down and then power that weight back up. So this is the exercise that I personally wish that I had a heavier weight on. I only have a set of 10-pound dumbbells at home, but if you have access to more, this is a good one to do the heavier set. All right, and rest. So you have 15 seconds to catch your breath. We're just going to do that from the top. We're going to isolate the left side, though, on the first and third exercise. So weight's going to be in your left hand. Make your way to your plank, row on the left, and crunch that right knee across to the left elbow. When you do the row, I want you to think about keeping your hips square to the floor. So you might find that as the elbow draws up, that left hip tries to roll open to the ceiling. Don't let it. Picture that there's something heavy on the left hip bone, pulling it down in line with the right. So you really have to engage through the core on this. Picture your rib cage is knitting together and giving your torso a little hug. A few more seconds to go here. Try to get in a couple more reps. And we're going to ditch the weight. We're going to go into those rolling crunches. If you're having trouble when you do the side crunch, make sure that you're on sort of the side of your butt rather than directly on the hip bone. If you roll too far forward into it, it's really hard to get any sort of lift in that crunch. If you're advanced and looking to make these harder, give me a V up in the center instead of that bent knee crunch so that you would do straight legs, all 3. A few more seconds to go. And we're going to grab that weight. We're going into our windmill with the shoulder press, left side. So grab that weight in your left hand. Again, if you have 2 sets of weights, you're going to want to use the heavier one on these. As you do the windmill, look up at the weight. That is going to help it stay pointing up towards the ceiling the whole time. So as you lift and lower, the weight isn't moving position out from that straight up and down point. You're just rotating the arm in the shoulder socket. And rest. Okay, so we are halfway done with our first mini circuit. We're going to start back at the top. We're over on the right side again. Find that plank. If it's more comfortable for you, you can grip the weight in your left hand as well and just keep it on the ground. I just personally, that bothers my wrist to hold onto weights, and I prefer to have it on the floor. If you're having trouble keeping the hips square when you do the row, separate your feet a little wider than you might normally have them in a plank. Few more seconds here. Okay, into rolling crunches. You want really quick transition time between these. The goal is to go 90 seconds continuous work. So it's one exercise as quickly as you can, get into the next. Good, you're over halfway there with these. In my opinion, this of the three exercises is the most challenging. All right, we're on to windmills. Remember, we're on the right side, so grab that weight in your right hand. Right toes would point forward. You have a wide stance, and the left toes point out to the side. So of the three circuits, this first one is probably the easiest. I shouldn't say it's easy. It's not, but a little more gentle than the next two. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't know, this workout isn't hard enough, just wait for the next two circuits. The intensity will dial up a notch. And rest. Okay, so we got to go through those three exercises just one more time, and then you can check circuit one off the list. Weight's going to be on the left side. You're going to find your plank position, and let's go. If this is getting to be a little too much, I want you to modify by doing this in a tabletop position. So you would just have the knees down under the hips in tabletop and just focus on that row. Last few seconds here. Remember, I want a quick transition. So as soon as those beeps go off, I want you to ditch that way. Boom, you're right in those rolling crunches. Let's go. Try to find a rhythm with these to sort of hold myself accountable, because it's very tempting to slow down as you progress through the 30 seconds. I try to hit a cadence on this. So it's crunch, out, crunch, out, crunch, out. Last exercise of this circuit, find that weight, left hand, windmills with that shoulder press at the top. When you're doing that shoulder press, make sure that you are not arching into the low back and sort of splaying out through the ribs. I want you to think of knitting the ribs together and really holding in tight through the core. Remember, look at that weight. It's going to help it stay pointing straight up to the ceiling the whole time. And you are done. With the weight at your shoulders, you're going to sink down in a low squat. Now, staying low on your right side, you're just going to reach those left toes out to the side in a side lunge position and then back. You're staying very light on those toes though. So I want all the weight in your right heel, button hips back and down, chest stays broad, abs in tight. If you want to make this harder, use both weights at your shoulders. If you need to make it a little easier, you're going to use just your body weight. You will still get a big burn with just your body weight on this one, since it is an isometric hold. Few more seconds, stay low, almost there. And surrender squats. You're going to want both weights for these at your shoulders. You're going to start by squatting down, and then you're going to come to one knee, one foot, the other foot staying low, and then you're going to power up. I want you to alternate which foot is the lead foot every time you go low. Now at the top of this squat, notice my hips are coming forward. I'm not hyperextending though. My abs are in tight too. So the hips come forward but without arching into my low back.
Get ready to ditch those weights. We're going to popcorn squat. So this is like a jump squat. You're going to bring your hand down to the floor, feet wide, and then just hop them back to center together. Alternate which hand hits the ground. You want to go quick on these. I want your heart rate to be up. If touching the floor isn't happening, that is absolutely fine. Keep your hands at heart center and just hop those feet in and out. Okay, you have 15 seconds to rest. We'll start that from the top. All right, so start by finding that low squat position. This time you're going to hold low on the left side, and those right toes are just going to tap out to center, out to center. Try not to shift too much weight into those tapping toes. The stationary side is the focus. This one should burn. Those last 15 seconds should be tough. If it's not, then I want you to hold both weights at your shoulders instead of just one. Now be honest, are you starting to straighten out that standing leg? If you are, sit your hips back and down just a little lower. Woo, okay, surrender squats. Now, if those surrender squats were a little too heavy the first time, maybe just use one weight, or if you need to, just use your body weight and ditch the weights altogether. If this bothers your knees, you can fold a towel and keep it on the floor so that you kneel onto it. I find that a yoga mat works best though, just because when you have too much padding, it's kind of awkward when you then go to stand up on it. Okay, taking it to those popcorn squats. Quick ditch those weights. As the feet jump wide, you're lowering down in a squat, fingertips to the floor, lightly tap them back together, and then you're right back down again. Now, when you go down to touch the floor, you're not just bending over. You're getting low because you're bending into the knees, so it's not just a torso hinge. Really get low through those hips. And rest. Okay, we're halfway done with circuit number 2. This one, as I'm sure you've noticed, is focused on lower body. Right leg's going to be the focus this time. Get your weight or both or none. You pick your poison, sit down low, and we're going to tap those left toes side, center. Notice when I bring the foot to center, I'm just lightly touching the ball of my foot to center. I'm not putting my whole foot down because I don't want to shift too much weight into it. Focus is on that stationary side. Weight is in your heel. Now look down at your foot. Make sure you can see your toes. If you can't, that means your knee is jutting too far forward and you got to slide your butt and hips back and down a little for me. If your low back is starting to get cranky, pull in a little tighter through the low abs. Usually that just means we forgot to engage the core. Right into those surrenders. If you are going to add weight like I am, grab that second dumbbell. Now, the most important part of this is when you step forward out of that kneeling position. You step forward staying low. So you're stepping right into the squat. So that part, it should be a big challenge for the foot that's already planted. Try to get through at least one more rep here. You're almost to the end. Okay, popcorn squats, you know the drill. Ditch those weights. Let's try to pick up the pace on these, okay? You should be out of breath by the end of the 30 seconds. So if you're feeling comfortable, you got sort of a comfortable tempo going on here, pick it up a little bit. Almost there, right to the end. Really try not to rest in the middle of an interval. Now you can rest. All right, we just got to do that one more time. So it's just 90 seconds of work to go, and then you can cross circuit number 2 off the list. Left leg is going to be the focus, so find that low squat position, and we're just going to tap the right toes out and in, staying low the whole time. So there's no bouncing. It's like someone just put a low ceiling over your head, staying low the whole time as you reach and step back. Let's do that little form check, all right? So rib cage knitting together, low abs pull up and in, spine is long, neck is long. Last few seconds, stay low, do not bail. You're done with this exercise after this. Ooh, on to the surrenders, both weights. Squat down and then stay low as you step to the knees, back to the feet, and then you're going to power up, squeezing your bum at the top, bringing the hips forward, but without arching into the low back. So you need to squeeze in tight through the abs too. So when you come to standing, picture you're coming up to a vertical plank position, the exact same alignment you'd have if you were on the floor holding a forearm plank. Okay, last 30-second push here, and then circuit 2 is done. Popcorn squats. I want this to be your quickest round yet. So feet wide, butt down, tap the floor, back to center, tap, center. Good. Now again, if touching the floor is a little too low, I'm fine with you keeping your hands and torso a little more upright, but I still want those feet moving quick. Wide, narrow, wide, narrow. Last few seconds, right to the end. And done. Move, you want your feet wide apart, toes angled out to the sides, and sink low in a deep squat. The weight is between your feet, and then you're going to reach it up overhead, bring it down to the floor, bring your hands to the floor, hop your feet back into a plank, and give me a march. When you do the marching plank, make sure you're leading with the opposite arm every time, so don't always press up first with your dominant side. When you do that overhead swing, make sure your core is engaged. So I don't want to see a big arch to the back as the weight goes overhead. Abs stay in tight, spine stays long. All right, we're going to grab that weight and we're going to meet in a lunge position for a torso twist. I'm starting with my left foot forward. Doesn't really matter which leg you start with forward, but make sure you twist over whatever leg is in front. So this is a full body exercise. We're twisting, getting into the obliques. Your legs are, of course, working to stabilize you in the lunge. But oh man, does the upper body really burn on this. For me, arms are the hardest part of this move. Your goal is to keep those hands at chest height the whole time as you twist. All right, we're going into a squat press. You're going to want both weights. Simple, can't talk, simply squat down. And then as you drive up, you're going to push those arms overhead in a shoulder press. Now, as you come out of the squat, you're bringing your hips forward, kind of like I was talking about in the previous circuit. You push your hips forward, squeezing your glutes, but you also need to squeeze your abs, okay? I don't want you to arch into your low back, especially since we're doing that press overhead. And rest. 15 seconds here, and then we'll start at the top. So put that weight on the floor. Feet are going to be wide on either side of it, toes pointed out. Start in that low squat position. Swing it overhead, back to the floor. You know the drill. We're going to meet in a plank, and you'll give me one march. When you do the march, notice if your hips are dipping side to side. You want to try to keep them as steady as possible. If you have tight shoulders, you might not be able to swing that weight all the way overhead, and that is absolutely fine. Just bring it up as high as you can with control. All right, we're going into that torso twist. Your opposite foot is going to be forward. If you're on the same side as me, it's going to be your right foot forward. You want that front knee bent to 90 degrees with the knee stacked directly over the heel. Hip bones are shining forward. Good. And as we twist, I want you to pay attention to your shoulders. Don't shrug them up to your ears. So shoulder blades drip down your back, chest stays open, trying to keep that weight extended and at chest height as best you can. It should be challenging. All right, into that squat press, grab both weights. If it's a little too heavy, especially since we're nearing the end of the workout, you're probably at a deeper level of fatigue, you could do just one weight. You would hold the fat ends, one in each hand, and just press that up overhead and then bring it back down to chest height. And rest. Okay, so we're at the halfway point. 2 more sets through this circuit, and then you are done with your workout. Button hips back and down, weights in your heels, roll those shoulders back, keep your chest broad, swing that weight overhead into that march. If this is getting to be a little too much, I want you to modify by taking out the jump. So just step your feet back into a plank, and you could even eliminate the march and then just step your feet right back up into that low squat position. Okay, torso twist time. Grab that weight. Left foot is forward if you're on the same side as me. Again, as long as you're alternating side to side, doesn't really matter which side you started on. Try to keep your shoulders level. So as you twist, don't lift that back shoulder up. So shoulders level, hips pointing straight ahead, weight in the front heel. Dig deep. Try not to drop those arms. I know it's heavy. Squat press time. Grab both weights. Again, you can modify by just using one. When you do the squat, weight is in your heels, button heads back and down. Power up, squeeze your glutes and core at the top as you push those weights overhead. When you push the weights overhead, make sure you're not shrugging your shoulders with them, so you keep your shoulders away from the ears. Rest time. Okay, 15 seconds, and then we do our final set. So we're in our last 90 seconds of this workout. If the overhead swing is too much, I want you to modify by just doing body weight. So don't even use the weight. You would reach those arms up overhead, biceps by the ears, bring the hands to the floor, and then just do the rest of it as usual. Few more seconds to go here. All right, one weight, we're going to go into that twist. If you're on the same side as me, right foot forward. Find that low lunge position. You're going to hold that low lunge. Reach that weight out in front of you and twist. So as you tire, that weight is going to want to drop down, down, down towards belly button height. Don't let it. You want to keep those hands right at chest height. Final 30 seconds. Let's do it. Both weights, squat press. If you had dropped down to one weight, maybe try to come back to two for this one. It's your last 30 seconds. Really push yourself. You want to feel like you gave it everything you had when we get to that final beat. Now, I know I'm a broken record here about engaging through the core, but when you stand up and power those weights overhead, notice what your ribs are doing. If you're kind of pushing out through the rib cage, you want to do the opposite. You want to knit those ribs together. And done.
And that's your workout. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, you know the drill, subscribe to my channel. The past several months, I know I've been terrible about uploading regularly to this channel, but that is going to change. I already have a lot of fun content planned for 2018 that I cannot wait to share with you guys. All right, happy holidays. Enjoy this week with your family.